Welcome back to Tarot and Beyond. Today's reading is what you need to know right now. So this is going to be a really open-ended reading where Spirit is just going to bring through the messages that you need to know right now. We're going to use the last rose, or actually it's called the final rose tarot, to choose the significator cards. So I've got group number 1 there, and we'll find out what that is in a second. Group number 2 and group number 3. If you feel called to more than one pile or group, that's totally fine. Use your intuition to guide you to the messages that are meant for you, and then just take what resonates and leave the rest. Sometimes context will come in later. Sometimes you'll know exactly right away what it means for you. So group number 1, you have the intellectual, which is the King of Mirrors. Okay. And I'll put a top-down shot of these as well so you guys can take a better look if you'd like. Group number 2, you have the villain, number 15. Group number 3, you have the front runner, the Knight of Roses. Okay, so take a look and see which card resonates with you, which one feels like it's pulling you more toward it, and then use the timestamps linked in the description box below or pin in the comment section to jump ahead to your chosen reading or readings, and we will see you there. All right, hi group number 1, you chose the King of Mirrors, the intellectual. So right away, I feel like what you need to know right now is kind of centering around what you can see and perceive. The King of Mirrors is very, very clear on what is going on around him or her. It's not gender specific, it's just the energy of it. But it feels to me like you need those glasses that are going to be very clear and the right focus so that you can see something that's going on around you with a logical perspective or a logical mind. Being able to analyze it is going to help you to create a plan for the future. That's what they're showing me there with the pencil or the pen. So seeing something clearly to be able to plan for the future in a way that's going to serve you best. So let's start grabbing some cards. I haven't pre-pulled anything or even selected decks, so we're just going to do this all very intuitively, and I'm being drawn to the angel answers, so let me grab those. Okay, so what does group number 1 need to know, Spirit? I do feel that card. What does group number 1 need to know right now? Ooh, you got abundance. Okay, so group now, ouch, my elbow just kind of slid off the table. Abundance. You guys are attracting abundance right now. And I think that's why you're being called to see something clearly so that you can create this plan and have this abundance come in. Actually, let me put this up. I'll put the significator up in the corner here and put that next to it. Let's take a look at this one. Communicate clearly. Okay. So communication could be part of how you're attracting or creating abundance, group number 1. And I think that's why it's important that you see clearly, because if you're perceiving something, in a distorted or warped way, you're not going to be able to communicate clearly with the universe, with the people around you, or maybe even with yourself. So that's why I think that being able to see this for what it really is going to help you to create and attract abundance, and also communicate effectively so that you can really resolve an issue or create a plan of action or strategize. That's the word they just gave me, strategize. Spirit wants you to form a strategy that's very clear, concise, and succinct, which is going to help you to create abundance. So this could actually be to do with work or career, or a course of learning. The glasses make me think of study. You could be studying something, planning something, writing a thesis for somebody out there. That's not going to apply to everyone, but that's a very specific message that they just gave me. You could be planning to write a thesis, or you could be writing a book. Something about communication, planning, study, and how that's leading to abundance. So let's say, for example, you're in university and you are writing a thesis and you're basically summarizing all of the knowledge that you've learned over the course of these years, studying hard and working towards this goal. Eventually, the outcome will be that you will get a job that's aligned in your field. I mean, ideally, right? Not necessarily in this day and age, but That's the ideal goal, is to get the job that really suits you best based on your level of knowledge and expertise. And that creates a lot of abundance for you, but it does require you to communicate effectively. Okay, they want me to move to the next deck now. Which one, Spirit? Oh, they want the Nature's Whispers. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. What else does group number 1 need to know? Feel that one. What else do they need to know? Well, they said no more from this deck, just that one. All right. Be gentle with yourself. I love this deck because the images in it are just really beautiful paintings, and they're always so intricate and detailed. So it says be gentle with yourself, group number 1. I think that part of achieving or accomplishing this goal and getting this level of abundance is being gentle so that you're not pushing yourself too hard. Let's go back to the example of being in university and writing your thesis. I think that if you push yourself too hard in that scenario or in something else, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to put yourself over the edge, and then you're not able to communicate clearly because, let's say, for example, you burn out and then you get brain fog. You're not thinking clearly, not seeing things clearly. You're not doing the right actions because of that, because you are mentally in that state of overwhelm or shut down. It's like brain fog. So they are recommending that you be very gentle with yourself so that you can bloom, because they just showed me the flowers in the corner here, and spread your wings. I'll show you guys that up close so you can get a better look at it. Okay, group 1. So they really want you to just go nice and slow. And, that slow growth is actually going to support you in, it's like abundance. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're showing me the mushrooms now down in the corner here. So mushrooms actually grow quite quickly and a lot, right? So in the right environment, they can sprout extremely quickly. So there's like cat hairs all over my table because kitties come to sit on the table all the time. But yeah, the mushrooms, they grow really fast and quite prolifically, right? Like where there's one, there's bound to be more in most cases. So I think this is where the abundance really comes in. If you can slow down and just create the right environment for yourself through your ability to perceive what you need and make a plan, that is going to facilitate this growth in such a way that it's going to exponentially expand around you. So it's not like you have to put in 10 times the work to get 10 times the benefit. You're going to slow down. You're going to let yourself blossom and bloom by communicating clearly with yourself and the universe and with others. And then you're going to see that expand exponentially. So you put in 10% of the effort, you're going to get 100% of the outcome. Okay, let's get the next deck. Which one, Spirit? Oh, I think it's something of Lemuria. This is the Lemuria. I can't remember what it's called. It's like something Lemuria. Feel this one, that one. Oh, it's this one here. Okay. So let's see. Realm Bridger, number 41. The flower here standing out to me, butterfly. So it does feel like you're blooming. Bridging some realms here, bringing things together. I think that's why the perception is so important. This could even be a new level of consciousness for you, and that's why you're attracting or creating abundance. And it's that new vibration that allows you to express from the spirit. So you're not speaking from quite so much of the mind or the ego, although there's nothing wrong with that, but it's channeling or flowing through you so that you're able to express your divinity in a more concise and clear way. You're bridging the realm between the lower and the higher is what they're showing me here. So that is giving you a lot of, I would say even channeled information. And that's why they want you to be gentle, because this is a sensitive process. It does require a lot of maintenance and balance and receptivity, and gentleness is what allows you to be receptive and to see these things clearly. And then you can step into the masculine energy of making a plan and doing something about it. But the feminine energy is very gentle and receptive, and that's what the Realm Bridger is talking about here. It's bringing balance between the masculine and feminine to see this abundance show up in your life. We also have the high heart chakra, number 6, ecstatic bliss. Oh my God, group number 1. This is amazing. Like, you are really bridging the realm between the intellectual side of life and the spiritual side of life. I see you combining, let's say, for example, what you learned conventionally with what you know intuitively, psychically, spiritually, in the heart. You're getting to the heart of the matter. This is where the abundance lies. Now look at this. What they just showed me was these 2 cards. We have these 2 hummingbirds kind of looking at each other as if they're about to kiss. And then we have the 2 dolphins doing the same thing. Okay, so this is speaking to me of a meeting of the minds, connection, and that's why communication is so important here. I feel like there's going to be a very significant, important connection that is going to result from you bridging these worlds. And this could be a connection with a particular person. It could be a connection with a particular group of people. I also just heard family, so it's like reconnecting with your soul family or even your physical family. I just feel like there's a connection, there's a meeting of the minds, there's equality in understanding and communication. And it's funny because when I said that, I almost like bit my tongue. That's why I'm not going to edit that out. Normally I would, but that's part of the message here is what they just told me. I almost bit my tongue when I was trying to say understanding. So there may have been in the past misunderstandings, or you felt like you needed to quite literally bite your tongue, i.e. not say something. And that was a form of miscommunication, because if you're holding back and you're not saying something, you're not speaking from the heart, then you're not giving people the opportunity to truly understand you. And this could have been a protective mechanism to try and keep yourself safe from people who maybe were not gentle with you. But I see that you being gentle with yourself is actually going to be that bridge between you and other people, so that you can feel more validated and understood by others because you are validating and understanding yourself. And this is, again, it's like the foundation of this abundance. And I don't know how this abundance is going to come in. Maybe we'll get clarifiers from the tarot, but it feels very much like the more that you can authentically express yourself in an intellectual and spiritual way, the more that you're going to see abundance come in, growth. Proliferation is the word they keep giving me. So proliferation, you may be somebody who's seen as quite prolific in what you're creating, what you're doing, and how gentle you're able to be through that process. So I feel like people are going to understand you, and there's going to be a lot of beautiful connections because, again, you're bridging that gap where there once was disconnection, now there's connection. Trust your innocence. Oh, this is so beautiful. I haven't seen this card before. It's still a relatively new deck for me. And I love that this has kind of got matching energy to this one because it's very much about gentleness. They're drawing me to the number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. And 33 is 6. 6 and 9 could be important. And 6 and 9 kind of remind me of the yin-yang symbol. And that's kind of what we were talking about. Yeah, okay. So it's balancing masculine and feminine. And here we're talking about feminine energy with these 2 cards. Be gentle with yourself. Trust your innocence. Look at all these flowers. So it's very much about blooming by being gentle and just letting yourself grow in the way that you need to, which means making sure that you have the right environment, because growth isn't necessarily a use of force. It's more so about creating or cultivating the right environment so that you can thrive. And that's what I'm seeing here with Trust Your Innocence, is the more you connect to your heart, your high heart, the more that you really can kind of drop into your divine nature, or rather have your divine nature drop into you and embody that. And that's going to create a lot more clarity and abundance. Like I was saying, it's going to connect you to other people who are of like mind, or who, even if they are not of like mind, I feel like there's going to be some semblance of understanding there. Okay, I went up to adjust the camera angle because it was a little crooked, and the time was 1333 on the recording. That's going to be different for you guys because it's edited together, but yeah, that seems significant too. So repeating 3 sequences could be significant. Keep an eye out for those. Usually that indicates that you are, oh, they just said, I was going to say something else, but they said bridging the gap again. So it's like the Trinity, mind, body, and soul, and bridging the connections between those. It's going to help you in bridging the gaps in the outside world. Okay, we're going to grab the coffee cup oracle. Thank you so much to the donor who sent these in to us from the Amazon wish list, which is linked in the description box below. I absolutely love these cards. I think they're one of my new favorites. Okay, I feel that one. And that one. Oh, they said there's one more. Okay. One more. Is it that one? Yep. So the upright one you have here is horse, freedom and action. And this gives me masculine energy. So being able to feel powerful in your ability to take action, move towards your goals. I'm feeling strength from the horse, and they're showing me like rippling muscles. You know how horses are just like cut like that, you know, they're just so fit. That's just their state of being, and they run and they are free and they're strong and powerful and they're fast. You know, it's literally how we measure speed is horsepower. So I feel like you are going to grow a lot faster than you're expecting, group number 1, because you are giving yourself the spiritual freedom to take action in a new way. They just gave me the phrase new lease on life. So you're getting a new lease on life. Ooh, yeah, I just got spiritual chills from that one. New lease on life for you. So that's always a confirmation of truth when I get full body chills like that. And it's freedom through innocence, through authenticity, through reconnection to seeing things more clearly because there's less distortion. You're not being kind of led astray by these illusions or distortions or misperceptions of yourself or the world around you or other people. You're feeling safer to just open up and be you and blossom and grow and thrive is what they just said. Thrive. They want you to know that you are ready and able to thrive because you have seen the light. They showed me the glasses again. You're seeing the light. You're seeing things more clearly. And it's in the light that you can make these more effective decisions and take these actions because you're more decisive. You know what you need to do. You feel it. You see it. You just sense it. Whatever it is. It's really helping you to expand. Okay, they want me to look at this one first and then the other one. Ooh, unfolding surprise. And I almost dropped the card. So it's like, I was like, oh, you know, I feel like this is going to be like a hot potato, something that's coming in that is very surprising. And you might even like, let's say, for example, you get a message or you find out something and you get so excited that you drop what you're holding. That's kind of what the energy is that I'm feeling from this card. Unfolding surprise envelope. So this could be a message. They just showed me somebody getting an acceptance letter. So if you've been wanting to get in somewhere like a particular school or a job, or you applied for something that you really, an internship. I just got a message about an internship. Like maybe somebody's wanting, like you've wanted something and you applied for it, but you didn't hear back, or you were waiting on this communication to come in. They're saying that it's going to be a surprise the way it comes in. It's unexpected. But even though you're expecting it in some way, it's like the way it comes in is surprising. Let me tune into that. Yeah, they just keep showing me somebody getting something in the mail and they're standing there and it's like the postman hands you the envelope and you're like, oh my God, it feels like excitement, elation, tinged with this energy of surprise and things unfolding really quickly after that point. This could be that you won something. You could be getting something in the mail. Yeah, there's something coming in the mail. It's coming fast. It could be correspondence. Yeah, it's like communication from someone you haven't heard from in a long time, or the results of an application, an acceptance letter. It could be that you won something. And it's helping you to bridge the gap. It's like they keep showing me that these connections being made, these bridges being formed so you can get from one side to the other. It's helping you transition. And you're really going to love this surprise group number 1. You're going to be really excited. Okay. And Whale, Wisdom Keeper. So you are definitely an intellectual. You're a wisdom keeper, group number 1. You have, I almost said group number 3 right there, and I have not done the reading for group number 3 yet. So for somebody out there, if you felt sort of torn between group 1 and group 3, or you feel drawn to it now, I would check that out. I have no idea what it's going to say there, but that just came through, and they kind of stopped me mid-sentence because I was going to keep moving without saying anything. But they're like, communicate clearly. Open up and say these messages, even if it doesn't make sense to you, because it'll make sense to someone else. I feel like you are meant to share your wisdom, group number 1, because you are an intellectual. You may have studied a lot, conventionally or unconventionally. You may read a lot. You may look at research. You may look at philosophy. You might really be interested in spirituality and the concepts therein. You might just be that type of person who's very open-minded. And so you're constantly acquiring new information, whether you're doing it intentionally or just through osmosis. I feel like you are a sponge, and you naturally acquire so much information through experience and through knowledge, through written word, through connection to other people. And then you kind of amalgamate that into wisdom, right? Because knowledge is not power. The ability to use knowledge and construct it into a way that is effectively utilized, that is power. That's a really badly paraphrased quote from the book Think and Grow Rich. And I feel like if you are wanting to create abundance in your life, which is really, I see, linked to freedom here, right? Because if you have the money to do what you want to do when you want to do it, or when you need something, you're able to have the money or the resources there. That's freedom, right? That's freedom. So I feel like the book Think and Grow Rich could be something that you're meant to be studying, or maybe you've read it already and you're just kind of redrawing out the knowledge or wisdom from that book and applying it in this circumstance. I really feel like you're manifesting, and that's kind of what the book is about. It's using your subconscious mind to create your reality. And that is very, very sacred wisdom. So you are a wisdom keeper in the sense that you have access to this wisdom, but also that you may be transmitting it to others. So be very gentle with yourself as you do this. If you're called to a line of work where you do communicate these divine concepts or messages or information or anything really at all, they're saying to be gentle with yourself and trust your innocence. Maybe communicating in a playful way could be helpful. They're showing me the little monkey here in the card, and the innocence makes me feel like a child. So playfulness in your form of communication can be helpful. You know, it doesn't always have to be so serious, even though you are an intellectual and you do have a lot of wisdom. I think one of the highest levels of wisdom is humor, because it's through making light of a situation, even when it's very serious, that it's not in a flippant way, but it can help to kind of lighten our hearts, you know, and help us to connect. They just gave me the word humanity. It's like having that humanism, or having that humanistic type of outlook. Anyway, okay, let's get some tarot. Which ones? Oh no, they don't want tarot for you guys. I thought we were going to do some tarot, but no. They said we can do charms. Which one? This one? Okay. So, let's take a look. For group number 1, what else do they need to know, Spirit? A lot going on here. We have a little axe, like a woodcutter's axe or a hatchet. Yeah, it's like a hatchet. And it's interesting because I want to put it here on abundance. So I feel like you are going to be chopping something. It's almost like chopping down a tree to get the wood, and then you're stacking up the wood, and you can use that wood to burn. to warm your home, to cook. You can use it to sell. You can sell the wood. It's kind of like, this is all a metaphor, obviously. But it's just you being able to, through your skills, through your knowledge, through your physical ability, it's like you're able to do something that really creates options for you. And I think that's where the freedom is. And it's, again, through money, through resources, through abundance, that you're able to create some kind of options for yourself that open up the possibilities around you. Because you do have a bunch of keys here. You've got the key with the angel wings. And I want to put that here on communicate clearly. And then you also have, I think this is another key. Yes, it is. What does it have on it? It's got like an owl. Oh, that's wisdom for sure. And it's interesting because I want to put that here on high heart chakra. So I feel like you have the wisdom to be open at the heart level, at the high heart level, which is really about being in service to humanity. It's connection to unity consciousness. It is your divine right, is what they just told me, your divine right to embody at soul level your divine self in a human life. Yeah. So this is really unlocking through this wisdom the ability to expand and open up to your divine expression, whatever that might be. And I think there's definitely a correlation here to communication. Communicating from the heart, communicating as a form of service, communicating this wisdom, and doing it in a fun, playful, lighthearted way that still holds a lot of intellectual weight and a lot of value. You have the love between a grandmother and granddaughter is forever. This is so beautiful, and I've just feel like I'm going to cry because I just got back from a trip to visit my grandmother in my hometown. For those of you who have been here on the channel, you guys have been kind of seeing that. So this is just a special message for me, but it can also be a special message for you, whether your grandmother is here in the physical or has crossed over into the spirit realm. They want you to know that this love is forever. And I feel like there's a reconnection here to the lineage because you also have this tree, which trees kind of, well, we were talking about trees and like cutting down the tree, but I don't think that this is the same message. It's like a different metaphor here because in this case, the tree is referring to like the tree of life or the family tree. So you're not cutting down the family tree. It's more like you're extracting the wisdom from that. So, there could be a lot of wisdom in your family. Oh, I just put it there on Realm Bridger. I did that unconsciously. I wasn't thinking about it. So I feel like there's something here that you're bridging between the lineages. It's like maybe you're communicating or have communicated with a grandparent or with other family members, and it's opening the heart and it's expanding you and it's helping you to see these different perspectives, or it's helping you to have this intellectual insight or breakthrough that really brings you to the next level. And I do want to put the grandmother charm here on the intellectual. So I feel like there's definitely a lot of wisdom, or perhaps your grandparent is an intellectual and they communicate a lot of wisdom to you and you've absorbed that and you've taken that and run with it, is what Spirit just said. It's like if they give you like one inch, it's like you're gonna run a mile with it. Or if they give you one little nugget of wisdom, it's like you turn that into a whole bank safe's worth of nuggets of wisdom. You know what I mean? Like it's exponentially expanding, and that's what we were seeing before with the analogy of the mushrooms. Okay, you have this Merkaba, Star of David, with the eye in the center and the bones. And this makes me think of intellectual insight from the past as well. The bones make me think of something that's old and enduring, something that stands the test of time. After we are gone, the last thing that remains is the bones. So this is something that it's like the foundation, it's the longest standing, and it holds all of the wisdom, the keys of wisdom. The DNA is formed in the bones. or it's expressed and created into living cells in the bones. So there's something here about your lineage, your DNA. There could be wisdom in your star lineage. For some of you, I just got that message. You're a star seed and you have star lineage wisdom from your soul family in your DNA. It's literally in your bones. So when you say, oh, I felt it in my bones, that's almost a way of saying, well, I felt it in my soul. I felt it in my soul blueprint. So pay attention to your intuitive nudges, because this unfolding surprise could be a literal message that comes in, or it could be something that you intuitively receive as well. You have this little sun, if I can get it up here, hold on. It's a funny looking sun. He's got like a little fat nose and he just looks very jolly, almost like Santa Claus. And I almost just said Saint Nick, and I've literally never called Santa Claus Saint Nick in my life. So yeah, it feels very sort of old timey. It just feels like wisdom. It feels like wisdom from the past, information from the past. You're shining a light on some pretty key, no pun intended there, but yeah, key themes or information, wisdom from the past that is helping you to see something very clearly. This unfolding surprise, the eye and the sun are both talking about illumination, clarity of sight, and perception. So yeah, you're going to be able to see something really clearly. You're going to read a message, or you're going to receive a message. You're going to channel or download something intellectually or spiritually, and you're going to really hold a lot of these keys. And that's why I think you're meant to be communicating them to others. Group number 1 is because you are a wisdom keeper, and a lot of people would benefit from that wisdom that has been passed down to you, whether it's from your grandparent, your family line, your soul family lineage, whatever it happens to be. It's part of your divine service, and that's why this is so important for you, and you feel it in your bones, is what they just said. You feel this in your bones. So listen to that call, follow your intuition, be gentle with yourself as you do so, and allow yourself to be led in the direction that feels most stimulating mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And that is what's going to lead you to abundance, options, and freedom. So take action, but create a very succinct strategy or plan through the awareness that you're gaining from this spiritual insight. So that is what I see for you, group number 1. I hope this message was supportive of you. That is what Spirit wants you to know right now. Thank you so much for being here, supporting the channel through your likes, shares, subscribes, comments, memberships, purchases through my website or through my shop, which is linked below with all sorts of merchandise. Thank you for your donations of the cards here through the Amazon wish list in the description box below. And if you guys want to book a session with me, I am currently accepting a small number of one-on-one sessions, and I will be taking that off the table fairly soon. It's all energy dependent for me, so I have to be careful not to hit burnout myself. I mean, that was kind of a message that came up for you too. So if you guys are interested in working with me, hop on that. My website is linked below. It's ToKittyandBeyond.com. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 2. You chose the villain card. Number 15. So 15, 1 and 5 make 6. Feels like there's something that needs to be harmonized here. The number 6 always makes me think of harmony, and also the opposite end of that spectrum, disharmony. So there could be a villain in your life that is challenging you by creating this disharmony. It could be an emotional thing that is becoming sort of like the villain in your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical person, because they're showing me the tears in her eyes here. So it feels like, either this is a person or a situation that's making you cry, or this is like an emotional thing that you're kind of battling and needing to address more head on. Because sometimes, if it's like depression or anxiety or mental things like that, it can feel like we are the villain in our own lives, because our own brain or body feels like it's betrayed us. But that's actually not the case. What they're saying here is that in that case, it's not that there's a villain, it's just that there needs to be harmony. There needs to be more balance at mind, body, soul level, and combining those 3 in a more holistic way is going to create that balance. I'm also getting a message here of, I just got the word nemesis, and they're showing me this morning I always choose a mug intuitively, because I have a large collection of mugs. I just love mugs. I drink a lot of tea and mushroom alternative coffee, stuff like that. And I chose this morning the Little Mermaid mug, and on one side it's the Little Mermaid, on the back side it's Ursula. And when I put it away, when I was done in the dishwasher, I put it, down like that. And it was the Ursula side that was facing me. And I just intuitively took note of that. I didn't know why, but now I'm seeing the context coming up in your reading. So group 2, I'm really seeing just initially off this first card that there's a nemesis, there's a protagonist, or I should say antagonist in your story that is either something that you're experiencing within, or it could be even a physical person. But let's get more information here before I kind of jump to any conclusions. But that's just all off that card. So I haven't picked any cards for your reading yet. Nothing's pre-pulled. I'm just going to intuitively select the decks as Spirit calls me. And right now they're calling me to one that I have hidden over there. So hold on one sec. Okay, so I don't remember what this deck is called because it was gifted to me and it didn't have a box. So we're just going to see what comes up. I do feel this card. Oh, that one wants to come out too. They said one more. There it is. Yoga, Papaji. Okay, I feel peacefulness from this card and from Babaji. So it's finding your center is what they just said. Yeah, the number 6 is harmony. It's finding your center. It's finding a way to create balance in your life. And this could be literally through yoga, but they're also showing me this little Star of David in the center of his chest there on his shirt. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. And it feels like the unification is what they just said. The unification of above and below. And that is what 6 represents. So it's understanding the higher realms and the lower realms, the antagonist and the protagonist, the good and the bad. It's kind of like the knowledge of good and evil. Something about this duality or this dichotomy is kind of coming up into your life right now. And that's what Spirit wants you to know, is they want you to focus on this because it's happening for a reason. It's not pointless. It's not just a frustration of the situation. There's a purpose to this at soul level. It's helping you to understand your own inner peace and to create that. You have Let It Go, Kuan Yin. Oh yeah, she's like the really, I was going to say the passionate priestess, but I've literally never said anything like that about Kuan Yin, but that's what came up. She's the passionate priestess of peace. I love alliteration, all the P's. And I'm just feeling like she's bringing you this perspective, more peace, this perspective of compassion that helps you to let go of any attachments to a particular way of viewing something, like perhaps viewing yourself as the villain if you're really struggling or having a hard time with mental health or emotional balance, or letting go of a situation where you were villainizing someone else and perceiving them as the cause of some situation or imbalance in your life. It's kind of like if you stay stuck on projecting that blame, even if they were to blame, okay? I'm not here to say that other person is guilt-free or something like that, or that they didn't cause or contribute to this imbalance or this issue. But it's more so about being able to let go of it for your own well-being and your own peace, because the more that you project that blame onto that person, even if they are guilty, the more that you disempower yourself, the more that you put yourself into the side of the victim rather than the victor. So it is an archetype, and they did have me pull out the archetype deck, so we're going to get that next. But let's take a look at this card. Work your magic. And there we have the Merkaba once again, Saint Germain. So being able to magic your way out of this situation is what they just said. And it's interesting because what they brought up was, with the mug example, the Disney movie Little Mermaid. And the Little Mermaid is really about magic. And Ursula works her magic in a negative way, but it's the magic of Ariel's calling and Ariel's sort of love, really, that breaks her free, because love is the most powerful magic. And that's really throughout all of the Disney movies. And that's why I'm such a fan of Disney princess movies, is because, despite some of their more problematic storytelling and archetypal themes and stuff like that, I won't go into that, but the core message is really that love prevails. Love is the highest magic. Love conquers all. That's what I'm seeing here, is that if you choose love, and that doesn't mean you have to love the villain, that doesn't mean you have to allow them to continue to have power over you, but if you keep holding on to the villainization of this person or this situation, the more that you are disempowering yourself and using your own magic ineffectively, because we can negatively block ourselves by holding on to things that really don't serve us. We can negatively block ourselves by remaining attached to an idea, a concept, a perception of self, like an identity. We can really block ourselves by remaining so focused on a person that we perceive to have wronged us, that it can make it almost impossible for us to free ourselves and to let go and find balance. But it's not ever impossible, because, like I said, love conquers all. That is your greatest magic. And the highest love is to forgive, not for that person, but for yourself, so that you can be free. Okay. You know what I was going to grab the archetypes deck, and they said, not yet, there's another message. And then I kind of looked back at the cards, and they showed me the lapel here on Saint Germain's like cloak or whatever he's wearing. And you know what came to mind, interestingly enough, was Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange from the Marvel series. And as you guys probably know, if you've been here a while, I tend to use a lot of pop culture, movie references and stuff like that, because that's how Spirit shows me archetypal themes. And when I think of Doctor Strange, I think of somebody who was very egotistical, very driven by success and ambition at that more humanistic level, at that more, not even humanistic, that's not the right word, but that more distorted ego level. And it was through these challenges and it was through these situations that really caused him to have like an ego death. And he had to let go, and he had to become the student, and he had to do things a little bit like the hard way through trial and error to find his magic and to step into his responsibility and really to have power, because what he thought he had before was power, but he didn't. And it was through really surrendering and letting go of his old identity and going through that ego death process that he was able to actually step into his power and then face the real villains, which are those people who are trying to subvert the power of others. So, interesting message. Let's see what the archetype deck is wanting to bring through, because that's what they called me to next. So, yeah, they do want that one. Okay. Oh, almost came out, but not quite. Oh. Okay, we have a lot going on here. Let me start with that. No, they told me to keep going. Sometimes they do that. They're like, nope, there's more messages. There's one. Oh my gosh, there's so many from this deck. Oh my God, okay. I'm going to have to widen the camera angle so that you guys are going to be able to see all these on camera. Yeah, there's so many. All right, is that enough, Spirit? Yeah. More. Okay, where do I even start? You know, I think this is part of the message. I feel a little overwhelmed just with how many cards came out of that. And I'm like, oh, you know, there's so many messages. How are we going to fit them all together? And they're like, just trust and have faith. You're going to figure it out, and you're going to be able to piece it together and find the balance. You're going to find the message. So I think whenever something happens in a reading, I try to relay it as quickly as I can, because it's connected to the message of the reading. So that's part of it. But let's take a look. You have gossip, The light attributes are awakens considerations for the feelings of others, honoring trust. The shadow attribute is thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences. So this could have been someone who gossiped about you, and that's why they're playing this sort of villain role in your life and creating this disharmony. But really, again, it's showing you where you can, it's challenging you, I should say. It's challenging you to step out of the wounded ego and into your empowered choice-based free will self to be able to work your magic no matter what anybody else is doing. You also have monk and nun. Selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit. The shadow attributes are negative judgment of the physical world and excess piety. So negative judgment of the physical world, this could be, if this is a mental distortion and not another person, this could be what is contributing to that. So not seeing the physical world through the eyes of the soul, but rather through the eyes of the mind or the wounded ego can really create this feeling of, I don't fit in here, the world is a bad place, or there's something wrong with me, and therefore, everyone doesn't understand me. That's kind of what I'm getting here, but it's through dedication to your magic. It's through some kind of what they're showing me, because when Stephen Strange goes to that place where it's like the magic school, the wizard place, something like, oh my God, I'm just sorry, I don't remember what it's called, but it's kind of like he goes there and studies, he becomes a student, and he has to practice and he has to commit himself to this. And that's what I'm seeing with monk and nun. That's also what I'm seeing with yoga. Right? It's like going to a yoga retreat and really committing yourself to this spiritual course of learning. And that's what I'm seeing this villain or this situation that feels like it is victimizing you bringing forth. It is challenging you to have this self-devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit and to see through the eyes of spirit rather than through the physical experiences that you're having. Okay, we have addict. And it's in reverse, so this is very much highlighting the shadow aspect. And it says, the light attribute helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. The shadow attribute is compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. So it does feel like this is some kind of an addiction. This could be, again, like I said, an addiction that comes from a mental imbalance that is occurring or co-occurring with other situational, environmental, or interpersonal dynamics. That is the very long phrase that Spirit just gave me. So this is something that has challenged you significantly. It has really put you on your guard, and you may have through, like, let's say, for example, depression. Okay. I've struggled with depression myself for years on and off. And it's a unfortunate comorbidity that comes along with ADHD, but it's one of those things that we try to treat it the best way we can. And if we don't have the right support or we don't have the right knowledge or the right tools, sometimes we can get into these addictive patterns of food, alcohol, drugs, maybe even relationships and things like that kind of put a Band-Aid on the wound. We're trying to self-regulate. We're trying to we're trying to self-medicate with those types of things. But what I'm seeing here is that situation, or if it's a person, again, it's drawing you back to your discipline, to your devotion, to your dedication, to really freeing yourself from these addictive patterns, these karmic wounds and patterns, and letting go of these things that were really limiting your compassionate, empowered freedom is what they just said. Compassionate, empowered freedom. Okay. You have the advocate, inspires you to put compassion. I didn't even see that. Compassion into action. And then you have shadow attribute of embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. So that was what we were seeing there with the archetype or theme of Stephen Strange. He starts out as this very successful doctor, but he's not in it to help the people. He's in it for his own personal gain. And that was the distortion. He started out as kind of like a little bit of a villain archetype, but then he redeems himself through his dedication, through his spiritual purpose that he ends up stepping into, and then he becomes quite selfless. And that's part of his soul's journey. That's part of his path. And there could be something like that or akin to that happening here, whether it's you or someone else. But it's really calling you and inspiring you to put compassion into action. That's very much Kuan Yin's energy. She's extremely compassionate. And that's the highest expression of the number 6. Compassion, harmony, balance, interpersonal relationships that are very, very heart-based. And we have prostitute. The light attribute accentuates the challenge of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. The shadow attribute places material considerations and security above self-empowerment. So it's like selling yourself short for something that you perceive that you need, or some personal gain, which again, we were seeing that with the shadow side of advocate. We were seeing that with the archetype of Stephen Strange in his beginning stages. And it is this disempowerment, this choice to disempower the self for that type of gain, either out of a survival mechanism, coping mechanism, again, self-medicating with perhaps money, things like that. There could be even, you might feel like you're stuck in like this loop or this karmic pattern where you have almost like this, matrix. This is such a strange message, but they're giving it to me, so I have to say it's like a spiritual pimp almost, that somebody who's like in control of you, and you need to sell yourself in some way, compromising your morals or your integrity for some kind of not even like personal gain. It's just like some kind of way of living or surviving. So this could even be a job that you feel really victimizes you and causes you a lot of sorrow and suffering. It could be a person, could be, I just heard family member for someone. I don't think that's for everyone, but for one of you, if you know this family member does this to you, this is confirmation or validation for you. I just heard gaslighting. If this family member gaslights you, the message here is really to dedicate yourself to what feels aligned with you and trusting your own path, because it may be very different than what this person is influencing you toward or confining you with. So self-empowerment is really at the core of this. Let me see where I can fit this. Next, we have the martyr in reverse, and the martyr reversed is emphasizing the shadow. So we have the light attribute, learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause, and the shadow attribute is addiction to self-pity. So this does feel a little bit, I'm not going to lie, group number 2, like self-victimization or victimhood. Now, if it's self-victimization, what I mean by that is kind of like feeling stuck or trapped in patterns of self-disempowerment. So again, an addiction that comes as a result of like self-medication or coping mechanism to try and overcome or deal with some mental imbalances, emotional wounds, things like that. Or it could be that you feel stuck through this external situation where this other person feels like they're disempowering you, and they quite literally could be disempowering you in that degree. But the distorted side of this is the response that you're giving, because it's the response, it's the reaction, it's the behavior in response to this person or situation that is actually creating the problem here. It's not the situation itself or the person, it's how you're responding to it. And if you respond from this distorted martyr energy, again, we see the addict here, we see the self-disempowerment, we see the selling short of your own magic and your own gifts. And that's why they're saying that you need to let go of this so that you can find balance and escape from the self-perpetuating karmic cycle, is what they just said. Self-perpetuating karmic cycle. Don't shoot the messenger here. This is what Spirit wanted you to know, and it's for your benefit. It's so that you can free yourself, but you have to be willing to step out of any possible self-pity or self-identification with this disempowerment or self-identification as the victim. And we all do this, okay? Like I've been there, I have done this, and I have had to check myself before I wrecked myself, because being in that self-pitying energy really doesn't get you anywhere. And you can become attached to the emotional validation of feeling like a victim. It can become addicting in itself. But you're not here to be the martyr for somebody else's benefit or for your own sort of warped validation so that you don't have to take action and step into your power. I think sometimes we get into victimhood because we are afraid of stepping into our own power. We don't trust our own power. But they're saying that you do have the magic. You have the magic, group number 2, and you can be empowered and you can self-advocate and you can survive, or rather thrive, in a way that is healthier. But it's really committing yourself to a cause here. Really dedicating yourself to spirit, really studying and practicing and kind of humbling yourself a little bit here in an empowered way so that you really grow spiritually past these egoic limitations and circumstances. Because whether it's coming from within or it's happening to you or you perceive it as happening to you, it's all through you and for you. And it's how you respond to that situation that's going to really dictate the harmony in your life. We have rescuer in reverse. So again, shadow attribute being highlighted, provides strength and support to others in crisis and acts out of love with no expectation of reward in the light aspect. And the shadow assumes the rescued will reciprocate or keeps the rescued one needy. So this villain dynamic could be like an enabler addict type of dysfunctional relationship. Could be, again, one that you are kind of enacting with yourself, enabling yourself to use these addictive things as coping mechanisms to survive through situations that you feel are out of your control, mentally, emotionally, or externally. Or this could be somebody who's keeping you in a state of dependency, and you are villainizing them for that, but really you're continuing to play your part in the role. It takes two to tango is what Spirit just said. So if you really want to free yourself from this group number 2, and that's what's being advised here, and that you can certainly do, you have to play the rescuer for yourself. You have to choose to no longer martyr yourself for other people's benefit. You need to choose to commit yourself to a cause that's going to empower you and others. It needs to be a win-win situation. And choose to free yourself from these addictive patterns or coping mechanisms. And, there's nothing wrong with finding coping mechanisms that work. But in the long run, if you want to thrive, it's finding the coping skills and tools that actually support you and your empowerment, rather than in the long run being disempowering. Okay, what else? We have child wounded. Okay, so here we go. This is probably the core of it, a wounded child. Your inner child is wounded in some way, and that's why it's afraid of its own power, and it's stepping into these dysfunctional roles of villain victimizer, and it's challenging you to have compassion for this part of you. It's having compassion for that part of you that is addicted, or that chooses disempowerment, or that responds and reacts to external disempowerment with this feeling of self-pity or victimization. It's that part of you that needs the compassion. Do not condemn that part of you, please. Have patience with it and understand that this is a part of you that is wounded and needs your support. And it's through that support that you can truly rescue and free yourself from this pattern. So the card says, the light attributes of child wounded are awakens compassion. Here we have compassion again, right? And desire to serve other wounded children, and opens the learning path of forgiveness. Letting it go equates to forgiveness, and it's through this compassion. And again, it's not forgiving for the other person's sake. It's forgiving so that you are not attached to it anymore and you free yourself. The shadow attribute of child wounded is blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, or resists moving on through forgiveness. Yeah. So that's that victim energy, right? It's blaming all my problems are because of what somebody did to me in childhood. And I can totally relate to that, group number 2, because I went through a fair amount of the trauma in my life in my very early developmental years. And it significantly negatively impacted me later in life. And I have seen the consequences of that in my behaviors, in my patterns, my karmic cycles, and my choices, in my circumstances, and all those things. So I can totally relate and I understand. And it was through this compassion for myself and this part of me, this wounded inner child that wanted to feel validated for the suffering that it endured, that helped me to overcome this and to work my magic in a more empowered way, where I was not sacrificing anything that I needed, truly needed, for things that I perceived that I wanted for that comfort. So it was through the forgiveness, not of the people who harmed me necessarily, I'm still working at that, but really being able to forgive myself for these patterns of self-disempowerment that were fairly unconscious, right? Addictive patterns, negative relationship patterns, negative coping mechanisms with substances. For me, it was food, sometimes alcohol, things like that, that really kept me stuck in that feedback loop of I'm not powerful enough to break free from this. And it was through my dedication to spirit, through the work that I'm doing here, that really transformed my life. And that is the message I see here for you, group number 2. That's a big part of it anyway, is really freeing yourself by finding something that really aligns with your soul level integrity and allows you to expand past this villain victimizer dynamic. We have the custodian, cleans up messes left by others and takes care in work. They are humble and dedicated. This is a card that I actually created and channeled from spirit. As you can see, it's a little bit less artistically beautiful than the others. And then we have the shadow attribute, feels unappreciated, lacks support and finances, and stays in the background. So again, this is like that martyr energy. It's the feeling of, I give so much and nobody gives to me, and therefore the world becomes the villain because I'm not getting my just desserts or what I desire or really need at that core level, because there's this, again, enabler addict dynamic. So the more you give, if you expect to receive that in return and then you don't, it can build resentment, it can build that self-pity, it can create that addiction to continuing to give in an attempt to get something back that you need or that you want, but it's not effective. So the real tool here is actually standing in your power and only giving in a way that serves you and the other person. So if it's not empowering to you, if it doesn't feel integrous, if it doesn't feel aligned, then it's not going to serve the other person. It's not going to serve you either. So this is also taking your power back to clean up your own messes. Again, it's like the responsibility and the accountability to free yourself from this pattern. And it's going to take some self-identity resolving. They did give me the phrase self-identity or identity crisis. So we do kind of have to go through a little bit of an ego death or identity crisis sometimes when it comes to this, because especially if this is something that happened in childhood, we can get really attached to this identity of the world being against us and being in a disempowered state. And, oh, that's just my luck, or, oh, that's because of this wound and there's nothing I can really do about it, or it's because of the way my brain works and there's nothing I can do about it, but it's really a challenge, and it can be even painful to step out of that identity, because that's all it is an identity, an attachment to that identity that is self-victimizing. It is hard work, let me tell you. I am not all the way through the woods on that one, but I can tell you that stepping courageously into that dark forest and starting to challenge my own victim mentalities has been extremely painful, but also so beneficial. Oh my God. Like it's again, they're bringing me back to Stephen Strange when he's really having to humble himself to step back into the student role and be a beginner when he thought that he was a master, and start to change his identity through this dedication and through this stubbornness, not to attach to what was, but to seek something that's more balanced or more empowering in the long run. That's what I see here. And then your final card, you have the Judge. Oh, the Judge Judy. The light attribute is investigates, seeks to understand, looks for relevant details, and seeks fair outcome. Judge Judy is just energy. The shadow attribute is blunt, dismissive, unfair, judgmental, and prejudiced. So you definitely want to look at these areas, and if this is something that's being projected onto you from somebody else that you perceive as a villain, it's really about finding these areas in yourself that you're doing this. So where are you victimizing yourself? Where are you dismissing yourself? Where are you being unfair to yourself or judging? Where are you prejudiced and not seeing yourself clearly through the eyes of compassion? Because those are the areas that are going to help you to free yourself. Really, at the core of this group number 2 is self-victimization. And if it's showing up outside of you, the key here is, again, looking at where you are perpetuating that, where you are drawing that in, where you are doing that to yourself. And that's the most painful thing to do because it causes us to have to check our ego. And that's hard. It can create that identity crisis, but it also is liberating. It's empowering, it's freeing, and it will help you to change these addictive patterns of relationship dynamics or cycles. It can help you to really take responsibility in an empowered way and step into your authenticity and integrity, which results in a lot of abundance and magic. It feels so freeing. It feels so empowering to be able to say, where am I causing this and what can I do to change it? And it's very rational. It causes you to investigate more analytically rather than judging the self for doing that and then staying in that shame loop. It's breaking free from that by just being like, okay, I understand that this was painful for me, and that part of me really needs support, healing, and forgiveness for the patterns that I've really suffered through in the long run because of it. But I'm not going to let that hold me back. I'm going to choose of my own free will to take responsibility for what I can change and to let go of what I cannot. Because trying to change what you can't is like beating your head against a brick wall. It's not going to get you anywhere, and it's just going to hurt yourself. So it's letting go of that and actually choosing to focus on what you can do. That is what is going to help this inner wound of the inner, this is what's going to help the inner child to heal this wound and to step out of the rescuer, the martyr, the prostitute, where you're giving, and never getting anything back. And then you perceive others as villains, but really you're enabling this type of behavior in yourself is what I'm seeing in these cards. And that's what Spirit wanted to talk to you about today, group 2. So again, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just relaying the message here. It's ultimately for your highest empowerment. And I hope that this reading serves you in some way to really step into your magic and use that magic to free yourself, to liberate yourself, to step into the victor role rather than the victim. You're the victor. You're going to come out successful. And it's not defeating anyone. It's really just checking those wounds within yourself and allowing yourself to heal them. Through forgiveness and compassion, you free yourself. All right. So that is what I see for you, group number 2. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this reading supported you. Thank you for supporting me and my work here through your views, your likes, your shares, your subscribes, your beautiful comments, your memberships to the channel for those of you who are members, and also for the donations of the cards. I have the Amazon wishlist linked below if you guys like to send in decks that you want to see used in the readings. If you have a particular affinity for a particular deck, you can send those in, and I am so grateful to you guys when you do, because it's a beautiful surprise, and I really am grateful for you guys and your support. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one and you want to dive a little bit deeper into these types of things at a more spiritual healing and counselor aspect, I am a Reiki master, a psychic medium, and an intuitive healer. And so beyond using the cards, I can help you to empower yourself to break free from these types of cycles and patterns. And I am currently accepting a small number of new clients to work with. It's based on my energy capacity, so it's very sort of tenuous in how many clients I can take on. So if you want to work with me, jump onto my website. It's linked below. It's ToKittyandBeyond.com, and check out the services page. If there's anything there, then you can book with me. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 3. You guys chose the Knight of Roses, the front runner. I'm really excited to get into your reading. It was mentioned in group number 1, and I had totally forgotten that. Going through group number 2's quite intense reading, and now they've just brought it back into my mind. So if you felt called to group number 1 as well, I would recommend checking that out, only if it feels like you are meant to. Okay? So trust your intuition. But really what I'm seeing here, group number 3, is that you are about to prevail. That's the word they just gave me, prevail. veil. And we can see in your card, there's this man in a business suit and he's kind of like running through some red tape, or like it's like a finish line or something. So I feel like you're breaking free, or you're breaking through, actually more accurately, you're breaking through something that you worked really hard to achieve, or you felt like there was, because they're showing me the red tape as though there was restrictions, or there was things that you really felt like you couldn't go past that limit. And I feel like you're breaking through and you're feeling very triumphant, successful, and victorious. It's giving me like Six of Wands energy, you know, like this energy of being the victor. You're coming back from this hard battle and you were successful. This could be like, you know, in this sense, really training for something, putting in so much effort and hard work, and really kind of, you keep kind of coming up against these limitations or these barriers, but then you finally are able to get to the finish line and succeed at something that you felt like you were behind in. I'm seeing, they're showing me like mini kart racing or Mario Kart, where, you know, you were in you were in the back of the pack, you know, and people were lapping you, and you really felt like you were not going to be able to break through and win. But then at the last minute, something happens and you're able to really get further than you ever expected, and you're able to come out as number one. So definitely success is here in your reading. Spirit wants you to know that something that you felt like you were being held back in, you're going to be extremely successful at, and you're going to break through in some way. So let's get some more cards. Okay, they called me intuitively to the astrology deck that I have here. Thank you so much to the donor who sent these in to us from the Amazon wish list that I have linked below. Okay, that chunk is a no, but we're going to take the two that kind of fell out like that. You have the third house, early learning, childhood relations, and the rational mind and communication. I see you communicating with somebody in a position of power. It feels like this is business related. They're giving me that message because he's wearing a business suit. So it feels like this could be career or business related, or could just be in a project that you are really dedicated to. You've contributed a lot of effort into it, and this is something that you're communicating, connecting with somebody who's in a position of power, like an authority figure, or somebody who can mentor you or can give you advice to help you to break through. Yeah, they're taking me back to that analogy that they were showing of you being like a race car driver, or being in that like mini kart race. And it's like you all of a sudden have this mentor come on your headset and say, you know, you just have to make these particular moves and you're going to be able to catch up, and then you're able to succeed. So it's like through some kind of wisdom or communication with someone in a position who you are aspiring to get to, that you're going to really, again, experience this breakthrough. Let's see what this card is. The first house, individuality, self-image, and approach to life. So there's the breakthrough. You can see the image here of this bird being born from the egg. And it looks like this bird is fully formed. You know, it's not coming out as a chick or a child, even though we do have the early learning and childhood relations with the third house here. But it feels very much like you are breaking out of this, you know, this confining space that you were in. Like if you were stuck in a particular job description or stuck in a particular role or level of your career, I feel like you are really breaking through and breaking free through the assistance of some kind of communication, mentorship, or advice that helps you to, you launch yourself out and you're able to be free, but you're fully formed. So you're not like starting from scratch. You're really just kind of taking everything that you already know and putting it together. And this makes sense with what we were seeing in group number 1, because there was a message about communication, strategizing, and really being able to see abundance come in a big way because of the ability to turn information or knowledge into wisdom and then use that effectively. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And you might be called to step into a leadership position is what I just heard. You might be leading a group of people, or you might be working with groups of people. Oh, they want me to move to a different deck. Okay, we're going to use this tarot deck. Thank you to the donor who sent this one in as well. Okay, so, oops. Can I get clarifiers, please, Spirit, on the message here for group number 3? Okay. Oh, we're doing all of those. All right. So let's take a look. You have the Queen of Cups. So this mentor could be somebody who is very emotionally mature, somebody who has a lot of compassion and spiritual wisdom is what I just heard as well. Somebody who has spiritual wisdom. I think that was a message that came up in group 1 as well. I can't remember now. But yeah, spiritual wisdom, somebody who offers this up to you willingly, openly, with this air of compassion. They're not trying to hide the secrets from you. They really just want you to succeed. It's somebody who has your best interests at heart is what they're showing me. And that's why you're able to break through, is because this person really cares about you, or they just care about people in general and they want everybody to be successful. You know, like this is the opposite of a hater. This is a cheerleader. This is somebody who really wants you to succeed. And it's because they have been through some hardships. They have been through their own challenges, and they would have really benefited from somebody to help them. And so they want to turn around and help others who were in their situation, who are in the same or similar situation to what they experienced. So that's why they have this compassion. It comes from experience. 10 of Cups. Oh my God. Group number 3. This is beautiful. 10 of Cups being, you know, this emotional fulfillment that you get to the end of the road and you're like, oh, I did it. I have everything that I need. I'm so happy, content, fulfilled. It just feels full, like a full life, a happily ever after moment where you ride off into the sunset and, you know, you have everything that you need. Success. You're successful. Happy relationship, happy home, successful business or career. Open-hearted. I see all of that here for you. I see growth. I see new horizons that you're breaking into, right? It's like one story ends as you break through and you hit that, you know, that finish line moment and you celebrate, and then you move into the next phase where you're even more exalted, you're prevailing, you are really stepping into this authority. They keep saying that, yeah, authority. So your individuality is going to be some kind of an inspiration for others. It's going to be the focus in how you are meant to lead. Yeah, because eventually you're going to turn around and do the same thing. You're going to mentor other people. You're going to help other people. You're going to give them the keys to success. You're going to help them break through. So where this person helps you, again, it's like this chain reaction, this ripple effect, this positive feedback loop of you getting to that point that they're at eventually and turning around and doing the same thing. And it's like this beautiful butterfly effect of kindness. I love that. Ace of Discs, look at that. Abundance and this offer that helps you to break through. You know, it's a genuine heartfelt offer. I just keep getting that message for you, group 3. It's a genuine heartfelt offer that helps you to grow. It helps you to expand. It could be information. It could be financial support. It could be an investment. It could be a shout out, you know, something that really brings in a lot of opportunity for you in many different forms and helps you to grow. It helps you to kind of like you have something just to start or to reinvest so that you can get to the finish line. You know, let's say you were, you're running a marathon and you're at the 3/4 mark and you're just exhausted and you're like, how am I going to do this? My legs are starting to cramp up and I'm feeling lightheaded. And then, you know, somebody from the sidelines is like, here, have this energy drink or something, or, you know, have this fresh water, and they've blessed it. And they tell you, you just keep going in this direction and just keep doing this. It's like they support you emotionally and physically, and then you're able to succeed. And you're able to really, through that little bit of support, make it on your own. You know, you're doing it yourself, but it's through this support. It's through this sort of cheerleading and how that bolsters your spirit and your endurance to be able to get to the finish line and break through, that you really see the benefits of this long term, very long term. 7 of Discs. Okay. the horizon, there's so many messages that just came through. That's why I was like, okay. So the horizon in the background, speaking to me of the 10 of Cups there. So it's reminiscent. Those two are connected. They showed me the pregnant belly here, which was connecting to the egg. It's like birth, rebirth, birthing this new endeavor, project, or life. And the stone heads here. Okay, so let me hold it up so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about there. The stone heads here, it's like she's cultivating these stone heads. It's like maybe you felt like you weren't able to break through, or there was no growth because you were cultivating things that were not fit for growth. But it's through this information, this support, or this investment that you're able to really grow something that, again, like I said, it's very long lasting. That's the message they keep giving me. It's very long lasting, and you're able to see this come to fruition over a long period of time, but you experience the benefit of it in the short term as well. The Two of Discs. See, here's the other person again. They're helping you. They're supporting you. They're helping you to find balance. They're giving you the information or the resources to be able to make your way across this chasm, that we see here in the card, across this chasm, and to come out the other side, to have that breakthrough. They're teaching you, either through their love and compassion, or through their wisdom and insight, or through how they're able to support you. It's a soul level lesson for you, for sure. And it's one that is meant to exalt you. They just gave me that word. And I think we had that before as well. Sometimes when I channel, I forget what I say pretty quickly. But they gave me the word exalted, and I feel like it was more than once. So you guys are meant to be in this high up position. So let's say, for example, this is in some kind of a company. This would be an exalted position. Maybe you're meant to go from like a manager to a CEO over the long haul, and you're meant to break out of that sort of lower role where you may have felt stuck for many, many years. If this is a project that you're trying to get off the ground, it's like you stay in this sort of beginner role for quite a long time, but you manage to build up all of this skill, knowledge, and these inherent resources within you to be able to overcome the ultimate goal, eventually getting to that finish line. But it's through the help, the final sort of nudge of this person or this support that really helps you to kind of put everything that you have experienced and went through and your plans into action in a way that finally it clicks, and you're able to go from 0 to 100 really quickly. Again, it's like you go from being lapped to being in first place. And the example that's also coming up here, I just want to mention, yesterday, Spirit kind of called me to do more activities, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and the thought of playing basketball popped into my head. It was something I used to love doing as a teenager, and I played basketball in high school, even though I'm really short. I'm 5'2", but yeah, anyway, I just had fun with it. And I went to the store and I picked up a cheap basketball, and I went to the park, and I was just shooting some hoops, and it took me a while to kind of get back into the hang of it because I was very rusty. But, I kept at it, and I was just having fun with it. It was a good exercise. It was nice to be out. It was fun to just play in a way that I used to enjoy, and I still do. And I started playing a game once I got the hang of it again of, okay, how many baskets can I get in a row? And I got stuck at 2 for a really long time. And I was still having fun, but I was getting a little frustrated. I'm like, okay, I keep hitting 2, and then I miss the third shot every time. And it was like for a long time. And then finally, after like an hour, I managed to get that third basket in. And I was so happy that I didn't give up and that I just kept trying, and I kept refining my technique, my follow through and my lead up and everything like that, that I finally hit that third basket. And then guess what happened after that? It was very quick that I got to 4 and 5 in a row. So it's like I went from being stuck at 2 for such a long time to getting to 5 in a very short period of time. It was like not, it was not proportionate, the level of that growth or the speed of that growth. And I think that's what's going to happen here. It's like if you felt stuck in some kind of a limited role for quite a long time, you're going to see exponential growth come as a result, because everything that you were putting in that space is going to equate to this very, very fast sort of like non-linear growth. Like all of a sudden you just get from point it's like you're stuck at point A and point B for such a long time, and then you get to like point YZ, YXZ or whatever. I can't remember how the alphabet goes. I always have to sing it in my head to know the order. God forbid I ever have to say it in reverse. But yeah, I feel like you guys really get to this positive outcome or goal in such a short period of time because you built up all this skill and technique by staying in this particular beginner phase for as long as you did. So it's actually, it's all worth it in the long run. You have the Eight of Swords. Yeah, if you felt trapped, group number 3, if you felt trapped in this role or trapped in this mindset or trapped in this identity or this sense of self of, oh, I'm never going to get free from this beginner stage. I'm never going to get to that next level of success. You are. Spirit really wants you to know that. And I've got full body shivers. And whenever that happens, the spiritual tingles always let me know deep, profound truth. So you are definitely breaking free from this perceived limitation or this role that you feel like you were stuck in for quite some time. And again, you're going to expand really quickly after a long period of just kind of tilling this empty soil, right? Like you're trying, you're not getting any results. You're trying, you're not getting results. You keep repeating that over and over. And finally, either through compassion for yourself and amalgamation of the wisdom through this challenge and experience that you've had, or through the support of someone else, or both, you're able to break free, break through. And then you're going to celebrate. 3 of Cups. Yeah, you're going to celebrate. You're going to be like, I did it. I finally did it. Let me really let myself enjoy this moment of exaltation and feel that deep, deep sense of gratitude and fulfillment that achieving this goal finally brings. And you did it. You did it yourself. You had help along the way as was needed and as was guided divinely by Spirit. That's what they just said, as was needed and divinely guided by Spirit. But you're very much enjoying the outcome. That's what I see. You're very much going to enjoy the outcome of this because you put in the hard labor, group number 3. You really did. I see the dedication here. You did not give up. You do not give up easily is what Spirit just said. You are tenacious is the word, tenacious. That makes me think of the movie Tenacious D. Love that movie. Yeah, you guys just don't give up. If you were stuck in this role of, you know, the example of Tenacious D, like they play for free out on the street, get stuck in that for a really long time. But they both want to be successful musicians. And so they go on this massive quest to find the pick of destiny, and like all of that chaos ensues, and it's so funny. But at the end, they end up mastering the devil with their music, and then they go on to be very successful. So it's interesting that that dynamic or that archetype is coming up for you, group number 3. So, you know, take it if it resonates or apply it how it fits. It's kind of like you're overcoming these challenges, or you're proving to yourself that you are worthy, is what they just said. Because I was going to say you're proving your worth, and then they stopped me and said, no, you don't need to prove your worth. You're proving to yourself that you are worthy, but you were worthy the whole time. You were always worthy of this position of exaltation. The only thing that was holding you back from it was the fact that you needed to go on this journey to really develop these skills. You needed to challenge yourself. You needed to go through these trials and tribulations and ups and downs and, you know, really sweat it out here in this big, long marathon and pace yourself through it to be able to get to the other side and really, really enjoy the outcome. That is the message for you, group 3. You are very, very much about to go through a breakthrough. You're going to get out of a phase that was very stuck, stagnant, or you felt trapped in, and you are going to exponentially level up. So I'm so happy to transmit that message for you. I hope this resonates and that you see this come to fruition in due time. Thank you so much for being here, group number 3. I love and appreciate all of your support, whether it's your views, your likes, your shares, your comments, your subscribes, your memberships, your donations of decks of cards to the channel, and so much more. I appreciate you guys deeply from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye.